Hi everyone, so today we're making this cute little personalized Santa milk bottle. For today's craft, we're going to use our Cricut cutting machine, standard grip cutting mat. I'm using permanent adhesive vinyl, some transfer tape. I have a swing top bottle and I'm using isopropyl alcohol and a coffee filter to clean that before applying my vinyl. Then I'm using a scraper tool, a weeder and a measuring tape. When you open Design Space, click on the New Projects tab at the top. And then we're just going to use the text button on the left-hand side here. I'm using two free fonts from DeFont, and I've downloaded them onto my machine already. I added the links in my description below, so if you haven't done so already, go ahead and download those fonts. Just be sure to close down Design Space and reopen it again in order for those fonts to show up. So once you have this text box highlighted, you can then go up to fonts and click on the down arrow. And then any fonts that you would download from an external site will show under your systems tab. So click on that. And the first font that I'm using is called Hello. So I will type in hello, and there it is. Once you click on that, your text will change, and we can now change the wording. So the first thing I want to do before I do that is just duplicate this 3 times. So if I right click on that and say duplicate, and I do that again, right click and duplicate, there we have it. So the first box I'm going to double click in and type in Santa's. There we go. And then I'm going to double click, type in love in the second one, and the third one is going to be the name of the child, whoever gives this milk. So I'm going to just move that up a little bit, highlight these two, and then I'm going to group them together so that the text just stays together regardless. So we can now click on that and just resize it a little bit. There we go. The next thing we want to do is add another text box. I'll just move it to the side. Go up to fonts, click on the down arrow, click on the systems tab, and change that to always here. And there we go. So click on that, double click on the box so that it's highlighted, and I'm going to type in the word milk. We can now move that in there. Just going to change this a little bit, make it smaller. Just move it around until it makes sense. Then what I want to do is highlight all 3 of those components, go up to align and say center horizontally. And that's just going to move all the words right into the center of our little block. I want to now add some stars or just a couple of design aspects, so you can either add images in here like snowflakes or whatever. I'm just going to add stars. So if I click on shapes, click on the star, just moving to the side, and then resize it. And I think I need about 3 of them. So I'm going to right click on that and say duplicate. Actually, let's leave that one in there and do it again, right click and duplicate. Now you can move these little stars wherever you want them. I think I'm just going to do that. Okay, so what we need to do is make sure that number 1, all of these aspects fit into the size of my design. So if I highlight all the components, when we measured my bottle, we said that the width of my design shouldn't be more than 2 inches wide and 3.5 high. So if I'm going to go into width at the top, change it to 2, and then that will actually fit into the dimensions that I measured earlier in any case. So if I look at that, I think the Love Luke is maybe a little bit small, so I can go in and just resize that a little bit. I'm then just again going to highlight Santa, Milk, and Love Luke, and say align center horizontally, just to make sure that that's in the middle. Okay, before we can go ahead and make this, just highlight all the components and say attach. And that's going to make sure that we cut it, number one, on one mat, and number two, exactly the way it is sitting on my canvas right here. We can now go ahead and say make it. I'm using normal vinyl, so I'm going to say on mat. I'm using a 12 by 12 inch mat, so I can say confirm. And then I just check my settings on the left hand side. It's a basic cut on mat, 12 by 12, and I don't need to mirror my image. So we can go ahead and say continue. To set my base material, I'm going to go and click on Browse All Materials. In all categories, click on the down arrow and go to Vinyl. And then I'm using Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy, so I can click on that and say Done. My pressure I'm leaving as default, and I'm using my fine point blade. I can now go ahead, add my vinyl to my mat, and insert my mat into my machine. Once your mat has been measured, you can go and make your cut. Once your cut has been completed, go ahead, remove your mat from your machine and weed your design. Once you have your weeded design, you can remove your transfer tape from the backing and apply it to your design. Use your scraper tool, just make sure that your design adheres to it. Flip it around and do the same on the other side. And then we can go ahead and slowly remove the backing sheet. Before we add our design, we can spray down our bottle with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and just rub it with the coffee filter. We can now go ahead and slowly add our design to our bottle. Just slowly but surely rub the air bubbles out. Make sure that the design adheres to the bottle properly, and if you need to, just cut little slits into the actual transfer paper to make it easier. You can now go ahead and remove your transfer sheet. And there you have your personalized Santa milk bottle ready for Christmas Eve.